Alright guys, I just wanted to provide a quick update as it relates to LT Hummer project. So as you saw maybe in some of my other posts, I went ahead and I've moved the body over into the garage, which is the first time that it's actually been in the garage. I'm actually in the process, I'll just show you real quick, I'm actually in the process of stripping the body. And then I'm going to remove everything so that we can start getting this thing prepped for paint. But yeah, the good thing is that it's in the garage, and you know, hopefully we can get to some of the rougher areas of the body, primarily the wagon top, because on the inside, as you guys have seen, it's got some rust. But that's not what today's video is about. What I wanted to really show you is the purchase I recently made. So one of the things that, obviously being in Texas, I want to make sure that I'm cool, and so one of the things that is recently coming out is the new AVA HVAC system. And so I went ahead and I ordered one because mine is a 95 and I had a Acme unit that was in really tough shape. So if you guys are familiar with those Acme units, the plastic's really brittle. Granted, these are 20-year-old vehicles, but the Acme is not rebuildable at all. And so before I put any time and energy into either refurbishing it or anything, I just said, screw it. Let's just get a new unit. And so I wanted to make this video about that. So what we've got here is the new AVA unit. So what I thought we would do for today is really just kind of show you the inner workings around this. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on my tripod here. Sorry. All right. There you go. I might give you guys some closer looks, but I wanted to first of all talk about this unit. So for those who are not familiar, this is the new AVA replacement unit for the 97.5 HVAC system. So if you had an earlier model to 97.5, they had the Acme units, but in prior years, a lot of people would update them to the 97.5. And so this is a replacement unit. Now, one of the key differences with this and those 97.5 stock systems were that they had vacuum actuators and such, and this has gone completely electronic. Now, first impressions, I would say that the plastic is still okay. I'm not overly thrilled about the plastic because, as we've seen in the past, it gets really brittle and then it starts to just deteriorate. That being said, mine was in really bad shape because it was sitting out for quite some time, and I think it just aged, frankly. So what's really nice about this though is the plastic does feel a little bit thicker, a little bit better quality. It's still plastic, which wasn't ideal. I was looking at another option, which would have been the Resto Mod Air, but with that setup, you do miss some of the features. So, you only have two options with that particular setup, and that's made for the Humvee, so you'd have to do some ducting work and everything else. And so what I thought, again, I looked at all the options in terms of HVAC systems, and I ended up going this route because for the price, it's a little steep. Because all you're getting is this unit, and I need pretty much everything. I'm doing a swap, so I've already got an AC compressor, but I'm going to need a condenser and everything else because all the stock system is just bad. So for the price, it's a little bit on the higher end, but you retain a lot of the functionality that a factory system would have. So things like floor. You got the defrost, you got the blend for defrost and face, or floor, and a couple other options. So that being said, it was just a long research process, and I decided to choose this one for those features. Now, a couple things I'm going to show you. Let me give you some kind of closer look at some of the parts here. So, a couple things. You wasn't too happy about the wire situation. I mean, like, come on, seriously, like, we really don't need to have, you know, the wires all to be one color. But thankfully, and then you just see here, let me see if I can change the focus. All right, there you go. Sorry about that. So you can see that there are some numbers on the wires, so you're not going in there completely blind. But again, it's kind of cheesy, to be honest. I wasn't really thrilled about having all white wires. It just makes it a little bit more difficult, especially if you're in tight places. You're gonna have to find that number, which is again a pain, but nothing that crazy, because all this stuff is really plug and play. So you'll see here you've got the actuators. They're very nicely labeled. So you've got the defrost, you've got the face. I think you've got recirculation. Yep, over here. You've got your, I think this is the temperature sensor. And then of course you've got your motor here. One thing that you will notice is there's actually an extra connector right over here. And that is actually for, I think, another air temperature sensor, because there's a little sensor back there. So you don't actually plug that in. The system just allows you to plug in how I have it connected now. And then right here, you'll notice that this is the recirculation. So this is actually AC heat, and then this is recirculation. So pretty straightforward. What's really nice is that, you know, all the harnesses and plugs goes right in. It's pretty straightforward. Now to give you a little bit closer look as far as the unit itself. So this is kind of the things that I'm not too thrilled about, because again, it's just kind of thrown together. It's not super clean, but it's solid. You know, I'm shaking it. I don't see anything loose. You know, and then here's where the block is. I don't know if you can see that. That's where the block is for the hookups. So I have a 95, so I'm gonna have to do some cutting in my fender well to get this, because this is gonna exit out the fender well, and then I'm gonna put a shield to protect those connections. And then, you know, you can see this was kind of interesting, is that these hoses, the line, the actual like fitting goes all the way up to here, but you'll see it like almost kinks the hose right here. So I'm not really happy about that. It's like, why didn't you just make this a shorter so you don't have this hose kind of kinking, almost going at a 90-degree angle, as you can see there. Same with the other side over here. But maybe I'm just nitpicking, but you know, again, little details like that kind of drive me crazy. And you can see it, obviously with these things, you know, it's kind of puttied around. These aren't steel cases, so there's plastic, so you have to have some of that adhesion material. Look at like the cuts. Okay, you know, it's okay. And as far as the bracket, so you've got the mounting bracket right here. You've got a mounting bracket right down here. So I still got to figure out the rest of my brackets, because I think I have about 2 or 3 other brackets that need to go onto the actual body of the vehicle before I can mount everything up. But that's pretty much it. And then you've got these right here that go up on the top. Now, a couple things to note is I believe with these, and I could be wrong, but I believe you're going to have to get some modified ducting. I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to source it. I know a couple other guys that are trying to figure it out. but you know, hopefully we'll have an update soon on that. Now, in terms of hookup, so really there's a couple things to note. You've got a few wires here. So as you'll see, we've got 3 positive wires. From what I've understood, and this is kind of weird, is if you look, you've got a thicker gauge wire here that goes down to a smaller gauge. And I've actually heard from somebody who is taking some of this wiring apart to look further that it goes down again. So there's a lot of inconsistency with the wiring in terms of the gauge wire. So you know, again, just small little things like that, like you can see right here. Smaller gauge wire, then goes to a larger gauge, like why? Just why? So then we've got 2 grounds. So that's pretty straightforward. You know, if I can get the silly thing to focus here. Here you go. You know, the connection's okay. I might redo these connections and put better eyelids and solder them, just for the sake of it. And then this one. So this wire right here is for the clutch. So what happens is that this wire is going to go towards your clutch wire, because as you turn on the AC on the controller, it will activate the clutch. So that signal will go through there. So pretty straightforward in terms of actual wire hookup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the controller, and then we'll go ahead and power it up. You know, I'll walk you through, you know, how to hook it up to test it, because that was one of the first things that I wanted to do. I want to make sure that I tested it before installing it to make sure it works. So here's a controller. It's real quick. You know, it's nice. Nothing, you know, looks close to factory, which I'm kind of happy about. But the one thing that does drive me crazy, and one of my friends, his is the same, so I'm assuming this is across the board with all the units, but if you look at the way that this clicks, come on, focus, here we go. So the way that this clicks, you got a very defined click, right? Then of course with this one just slides. So as you want more heat or as you want more coolness, slides. So that one feels really good, but this one, let me tell you, like this one just, it's like really, like it takes hardly anything to, gosh dang it, I'm gonna tell you this. There we go. So this, sorry, the focus is driving me crazy, but so this one just moves pretty easy. So it's okay, but it's just one of those things that, like, if it was more like this, I'd feel a little bit better, because it's just got a very defined click. You can hear it. When I do this one, you know, it still's got a defined click, but it's very easy to move around. Minor detail, I know. Some of you guys are probably thinking I'm crazy, but so let's just go ahead and just power this thing up. I know you guys are probably waiting for that, and I'm just rambling here, but let's take a look at how to get this thing all powered up. One thing I'm going to say right off the bat is, whatever you do, this plug right here is really, really tight in here. So I had to pull off this back casing just to get this plug out, and I had to be really careful because I didn't want to break anything. So I don't know why they have such really, really tight connectors rather than these, you know, these standard connectors here that just go in there, you push a button and it clicks out. This one does not have that button or anything like that, so it is really tough. And in fact, you can actually see, you can zoom in again, but you can see where the pin, it made contact right there, and that's first time putting it in. So that's the pin that is really, really tight, so you got to be careful. But anyways, so Focus. All right, so I'm gonna put you guys back up onto the, actually before I do that, I'll show you guys the hookup. So I'm just gonna put ground on real quick. So I've got this newer battery here I use for testing. I'm gonna put the ground on the ground. Oops. We got the ground. Again, 2 grounds. Just tighten that bolt up right there. And then I'm going to put the three wires here. Those are going to go to power. So I'm going to, because there's 3 here, I'm going to need some additional hands. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys up on the tripod. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in the controller. Again, it's pretty straightforward. Shouldn't have any issues. This one, I'm going to put this in just a little bit because honestly, I'm like a little bit afraid that. There you go. I don't know. I'm going to try and do it without putting it all the way down. Because again, it is a pain in the butt for that connector. So, all right, going to go ahead and power it up. You can probably hear some actuators already working. You can't see it, but this is lit up because you get the light. It is not dimmable. I repeat that this is not dimmable from what we researched, so that's something to be mindful of. And the way that it's backlit, it's kind of got these circles. So, it's okay. But let's go ahead and show you how some of this works. So, first of all, you've got the heater valve. So, as you can see right here, let me bring this in a little bit closer. So hopefully you can see that, yeah. So as I turn this, you should see that little dial start to move right here. So let me bring that a little bit closer. All right, so as you move it colder, I'm going to move it hotter. Right, very quiet, very easy. So that's how the heater works. And again, that's just by turning the heater control. Now, as far as the actual settings, so this is where you have the fan settings. You can do recirculation. So like for instance, if you wanted recirculation, you press this button. And this opens up, so as you saw that. So watch when I press it down. In fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is this button right here is recirculation. I'm going to go ahead and push it now. You'll see the valve will move. It's not got that closed up. So the next thing, I'm going to zoom out now, is the other settings. So you probably won't see it in the video, but as you turn this setting, this servo motor or this actuator right here is moving and controlling the flap. You can kind of hear it. And then when you go into defrost, obviously it's opening this one right here and then going to floor. And then of course this one goes to fully defrost. So that's how that works. Again, with the actuators and everything like that. Now, the other part is going to be the fan. So what I'm going to show and see this is where the outlet is, so I'm going to go full face, which I'm at right now. But I'm going to see if I can illustrate this. This might be a little bit difficult, but I'm going to get like maybe a towel or something like that so you can see how much air it pushes out. So what I've got here is the fan. So this is AC, so going back to that clutch, right? So if you push this, this will activate the clutch, which is that white wire right here. You can see in the very corner of the screen. But for this demonstration purposes, I'm just going to show you the fan. So low setting. You can see it's not really blowing up, and I'm actually going to get a little bit closer here so you guys can see everything happening. So as you can see, it's, there we go. Yeah, it's flowing a little bit, and that's again the low setting here, right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and step it up with the level 2. You can see quite a bit more. I'm going to have to put something on top before it blows away. Alright, so that's fan level 2. So putting out a pretty good amount of air. That's 3. And then we're going to do 4. So if I take this off, this thing's probably going to blow away. So it's blowing pretty good. And then let me go back to 1. Actually, I'm going to go to 2 so you can hear it. So you can't actually hear the motor going. You hear more of the air passing through. When you get to 4, you get a little bit more noise, but nothing too worried about. I think actually, you know what I need to do? Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, it's sucking in a lot of air. So I had the recirculation open, and this is facing down, so it wasn't actually pulling in a lot of air. So if we look at this now, you can't see it. I can't. It just blows away. So it blows. Now it's blowing a lot better because it's pulling in more air. And then back to 1. So a slight hum, but all right, guys. So that was a video of the HVAC system. Again, this is the AVA HVAC system that's coming out for the Hummer H1. I apologize. I think I cut my video a little bit short because my fat fingers, but. That's it. So as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward installation process. You know, the wires are pretty straightforward. The hookup. Now, I know that there's a couple guys that are working on identifying which wires to tap into, but as you can see, 3 wires for positive, 2 wires for ground. So, you know, it'll pretty much be key on is where we need to find the wires, but not that bad of an issue. So overall, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. I was a little bit apprehensive at first, but you know, once I actually got to play with it, you know, I think it's going to be a valuable unit to have. It's not perfect. You know, there's just things about it that look a little bit thrown together. You got brackets that are kind of like at an angle and stuff like that, but hey, it works, right? And that's all I really care about. As long as it works, you know, I'll do a little bit of resealing in a couple areas where there's some holes and stuff like that. But overall, so far, I'm happy. We'll wait until we get it actually installed. But I just wanted to put together this video again, just so that you guys can see, for those who've only seen the 2 or 3 pictures that are online of this unit, what it really entails. So there's a lot more work that's involved in terms of if you've got a 97 or earlier model without the 97.5 unit in there. Once I kind of figure that out, I'll post up a video for you guys, maybe with some part numbers and such like that, because I do know that I'm going to need to get some brackets. And the other thing too is the air circulation. It's much larger than the factory. In fact, real quick before I let you guys go, I'm going to show you, for those don't have, so that's what the factory is. Now, whenever you install the 97.5 units, this hole gets cut out, and you have a much larger hole that allows for the air to go into that circulation. Now, what's very unique or interesting to know is right around that time, this area right here started to get a scoop. So what I think the way that this was designed is that the scoop is actually to feed air into this system, not for the air intake, but actually for the air circulation of the HVAC unit, because now you've got more air going into the side, it's coming out from over here and then going in here for your HVAC system. And so with this being more open, it allows for more air to flow into your HVAC. So as you saw, like I just did a demonstration showing you with just stacked no pressure. Imagine the amount of air that's going to be forced in here as you're driving along, and you've got basically a pressurized area of air accumulating in this spot with a larger diameter opening. So I got a feeling it's going to do pretty well, but yeah, clearly I've got a ways to go before I get there. So anyways, hope that was helpful, and you know, be sure to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts around the AVA new system, maybe for those guys or shops that have it. You know, if you've got any suggestions or experience, please share. Until then, we'll see you on the next video.